Well, last week,
Yes.
you were out at a live show. I was out at a live show.
Yep.
I went out to see Queensryche. I might as well start there since they opened the show.
All right. None of them have died, have they?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But I have not seen Queensryche with Todd LaTorre. This is the first time for me.
Okay.
I got 2 words.
Fucking terrible?
Holy shit.
Really? In a good way or a bad way?
In a good way.
All right.
That was like seeing Queensryche in 1985.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit. Amazing.
I've heard that they're really good live.
Yeah. I was really curious about it because, you know, the only thing that I had to see was YouTube clips. Seeing it live and being right on the side stage.
Sure.
And hearing them, it was like, wow. This is like Queensryche 30 years ago.
Right.
And, you know, granted, Chris DeGarmo was a huge part of Queensryche with with his soloing and his guitar playing and his signature sound.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Michael Wilton and, I don't know anything about this Parker Lundgren aside from him being married to Miranda at one point, which I still think is kind of weird that he was formerly Jeff Tate's son-in-law.
Yeah, well, he's not anymore.
And still part of the band.
Right.
which is such a huge fuck you.
That really is.
It really is. But for whatever reason, this kid, and I call him a kid because he's definitely a younger guy.
Right.
He fits right in there.
You can play, huh?
He compliments Michael Wilton's leads like Michael Wilton complimented Chris DeGarmo.
Well, you say that, but I just have to say he's no Kelly Gray.
True. but I'm telling you, this Todd LaTorre,
yeah,
he, in comparison, he's like John Levin doing George Lynch.
He's just dead on it. Huh?
He is freaking, the guy obviously has listened to the Queensryche catalog.
Right.
And he hits every single little nuance
right
of all the old Queensryche stuff.
Well, he had said that in the past, that he was when he was in Crimson Glory, that his favorite band was Queensryche.
Right. Well, he proved it because, again, I was curious because I've always wanted to see him in the last few years with Todd, and I was just like blown away. I saw Queensryche back in the day.
Right.
And this transported me back in time.
Well, that's awesome.
Listening to this, it literally gave me chills.
Okay.
I was, I said to Taylor, I was showing my arm. I said, look, man, I got goosebumps.
Wow.
That's really how good it was. And it was just like, Jesus,
Right.
It was fantastic. So I think they had 50 minutes.
That's it?
Yeah, 50 minutes.
It wasn't like a co-headline deal, huh?
No, 50 minutes. They had the opening slot. They didn't have any real effects aside from, the stage lighting.
Right.
And they had a couple of scrims set up, by the drum riser.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of it was, they basically had to come out there and perform, which is what they did.
Right.
And it was, they gave them full sound, which I was glad that did that. But as far as any kind of stage show, they didn't really have anything.
Now, how was the crowd to them?
They were really good because Todd, he was hitting the high notes. He was singing Empire and Jet City Woman and all the higher end stuff, hitting that dead on.
Well, that's cool.
Holding the notes out and all that kind of stuff. He wasn't. He wasn't, shortcutting anything. They were doing the songs in the most truest of fashion.
Did they do any songs, and I'm just curious on this, did they do any songs that are clearly like Tate's songs, like Silent Tennessee?
Oh, yeah, they absolutely did that.
Well, they might leave that out.
No, they did that, and that, of course, got the biggest reaction.
Really?
Because that was that was the biggest radio hit.
I know, but that's just pathetic. It's like people cheering for fucking Winds of Change from Scorpions, which I'm sure they did.
And Winds of Change, Scorpions did do Winds of Change.
I'm sure they did, and I'm sure everybody went batshit crazy for it.
They did, and that was the least favorite song in the set for me personally.
Right, because they play all these great rockers, and they're playing all this old stuff, then they mix in fucking Wind of Change and Send Me an Angel and shit like that. Like,
right. Well, what was funny, though, is the fact that you brought up Silent in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was singing. I was singing those words. Taylor and I were laughing about it because I kept singing, Silent in Tennessee.
Silent in Tennessee.
Exactly. But oh my God, that Todd LaTorre, he just smoked those songs.
Well, that's cool.
So the only thing I got to say about Queensryche is that if you have the opportunity and you're a fan, don't miss it.
That good, huh?
Go see it. Really. It is just, Todd is just freaking amazing.
Well, that's good.
And they're re-energized. Obviously they're in a happier place. The guys are.
Well, they don't have to worry about being stabbed and spit on.
True. Absolutely. So they were, energized and they were out there rocking and just looking like they were having fun,
That's good.
Seemed like they were just like, man, we're just glad to be here.
Oh, cool, man. And you talked to them ahead of time, and I mean, I listened to that interview and sounded like they were into it. Didn't sound like he's like, oh, another fucking interview.
No, not at all. And, I did hit him with a couple of kind of uncomfortable questions.
Sure.
And he he dodged them a little bit, but he didn't like stutter or stammer or anything.
Yeah, he wasn't like, interview over like Tim's life, fucky.
Exactly. But Queensryche blew me away.
Well, that's good.
I was like, wow, this was well worth it.
Well, then it was good that we reached out.
Absolutely. Well, then the changeover was very short.
Why? I mean, they don't have a lot. Scorpions don't have like a lot of stuff on the stage.
Well, everything was already set up, and Queensryche didn't have a lot of stuff.
Right, just a drum kit.
Yeah, more or less. That was it. They just had to move the drum kit and a couple scrims out of the way.
Right.
And so the changeover was 15 minutes at most.
Nice.
It was quick.
Like that.
I mean, after the show, after Queensryche was over, I went to the concession.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the line was very short.
Right.
Got a couple of drinks, came down, show was ready to go.
Wow.
That's how fast it was. It was very fast.
Wow.
So, Scorpions, I'm going to tell you, aside from the fact that they're a veteran band of 50 years.
Sure.
I hate to even say that, but, people don't even realize Scorpions started in the 60s.
Right. Long time ago.
Long time ago. But their stage show is 100% LED light panels.
Really?
The entire stage from one end to the other is covered in LED light panels, and it's 2 stories tall.
Wow. So it's like a big multimedia thing.
It is. And the thing is, it literally is 2 stories tall. It's 22 feet tall.
Wow.
and James Kotak's drums are on the second level.
Right.
And he's basically surrounded in LED light panels. And of course, if you know anything about LED light panels, you can not project, but they project any picture, scenery, anything you want.
Sure.
And the show from a visual and from a audio standpoint was just a huge assault on your visual and your senses.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it's just freaking amazing. I don't know what that stage cost, but I guarantee you it's probably about $6 million.
Wow.
And the thing is that, you got a show like Kiss, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Who, they bring out the whole fire and all that kind of stuff. Well, with this LED light panels being 2 stories tall,
right,
they could simulate anything on this that you wanted. So it was like fireballs blowing up, and, they had this one song they were doing, Coast to Coast.
Yeah, sure.
And that's kind of that's an instrumental, right?
Right.
And James Kotak is up on this drum riser on the second level.
Right.
And they had this whole cloud scene, like a jet flying through the clouds. You actually felt like you were on a jet flying through the clouds because the thing was so massive.
Right.
And the whole stage was like clouds. And James Kotak is like up in the middle of this, and it looked like and the thing is they lift his drum riser up.
Okay.
And it looks like he's actually flying because it's moving so fast and he's surrounded by the clouds. It looks, you feel like you're in a 3D cloud thing. I mean, I can't even explain it to you.
Okay.
And then they had these explosions and these fire. I think I sent you some, text you some photos and things.
Yeah.
And I had text some photos to Law Dog because he's a big Scorpions fan.
Sure.
And he was like texting me, is that really fire? Because it looked like explosions and all kinds of stuff. And it's just amazing what they can do with that multimedia shit.
Sure.
But that stage show was just phenomenal.
Well, that's cool. So even if they sucked, then it was still okay.
Yeah. And the thing is Klaus, he sounded fantastic.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of clips and he sounds pretty good.
He sounded fantastic. And those guys were just full of energy. I mean, those guys, the originals, Klaus and
Ian.
Yeah, Matthias and
Rudy Schenker.
Rudy Schenker, they're pushing 70.
Right.
And they were running around that stage like they were kids.
Right.
And I can't even, and the thing is, and again, I'm going to shoot that, the publicist email. But we were third or fourth row up off the floor. So we were dead even with the stage.
Okay.
So we were like right on the corner of the stage, and it was like we had a seat on the stage. That's how close we were.
Right.
And it was fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I know Scorpion's show is in L.A. tonight. Bob Nobandian wants to call in. I haven't talked to him tonight yet, or he said he was going to text me and let me know. But he actually passed. He passed on the Scorpion show tonight.
To go see what?
To hang out and listen to the CMS and be a part of the show tonight.
What a dummy.
That's what he wrote in his email anyway.
Shit, I'd have passed on this show.
No shit. But after seeing that, and I'm sure the tour is winding down, or if it's not over tonight, I'm not sure what their last date is.
Okay.
But holy cow, was that amazing.
You think, did you notice any cameras or anything, like they might have been shooting it?
Filming it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say because they had film, they had the thing is that every member they had on a camera.
Okay.
But then they would, and I keep saying the word project, but it's not projected, but it was on the big screen. So the guys were 22 feet tall. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was reflection or whatever you want to call it.
So they're probably recording every show.
They probably are.
Yeah.
But that stage show alone, it's amazing what they do with that lighting, that LED lighting, because you can program anything into that you want.
Right. Sure.
And it's it's real time, true to life stuff, and it's like holy cow, it's that amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. But for a band who's 50 years old and out there just still kicking it, the funny thing is without the LED lighting.
Yeah.
There's nothing on that stage. Nothing. There's no amps. There's no mics. There's nothing.
It's like the Metallica stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, and then they had the run that ran out into the middle of the arena.
Okay.
So those guys all came out and did, the acoustic thing, a little bit of acoustic show.
Okay.
And, of course they did the whole Winds of Change and all that stuff and whatnot. But it was a very, very well done.
Well, they They are a pro band.
They are.
Have you ever seen them where they sucked?
No, I've seen Scorpions 5 times, but I got to say this show was by far the best.
Yeah, I've seen them, I don't know, probably about the same number of times, and they've never sucked. The worst I ever saw them was when they were with Motley Crue.
Okay.
That really wasn't...
Was that at Blossom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't very good, but... I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it was, you know, they were playing a lot of their soft shit because it was a chick audience. And,
sure.
You know, it was half the songs were their fucking chick songs, which I didn't want to hear. You know, I wanted to hear the old classics. I wanted to hear, just play the whole Blackout album and I'd have been good. Right. But no such luck.
Sure. Well, I'm glad I went.
That's good.
It was, you know, I didn't know what to expect, but I was very, very pleased. I mean, that was one of those shows that you walk away and you're feeling high.
Right, sure. Nice.
I mean, it's not because, you know, somebody was smoking weed or something, but you were actually just like, wow, I was just, you know, stoked from that.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
And it was very good. Those guys are just amazing at that age.
Sure.
And still bringing it. So good show. Now, you went to see Slash at the Roxino.
I did.
And I know this is, like you said, the 3rd or 4th time you've seen them.
Yep. Second time literally in a year. They played the Roxino literally a year and a week.
Okay.
Art. And it was good. I mean, it was Slash is still awesome, you know, and that band is fantastic. You know, and what was cool this time was that he did play a lot of different songs that I had not heard before live. You know, a lot of the new stuff, which people dug it. That's what surprised me is how many people knew all the new stuff.
Well, see, here's the thing that Slash has got going for him, aside from, you know, obviously his legacy of Guns N' Roses.
Sure.
He isn't a popular band that you're going to hear on commercial radio.
Right.
Yet people still come out to a venue like the Roxino and sell it out.
Oh, yeah. It was packed.
And, you know, you can't go out on the street and say, hey, name a Slash song.
Yeah, there won't be very...
And then you go, well, who's...
guy like me out of like 100 that can't, because everybody else will say, Paradise City!
Well, yeah, exactly. And you're not going to say, who's Slash's singer? Yeah. You know, nobody would know that, but yet the really hardcore dedicated people come out and go to a show like that.
Sure. And you know, there's no frills to this show at all, although this time they had the big exciting confetti at the end.
Okay.
You know, that's always a thrill when they shoot confetti out. But other than that, I mean, there was nothing on the stage. It was just Slash and Miles and, you know, Brett Fitz and Todd Dammit and the other guy, whatever his name is. But they just fucking thrashed, dude. It was just a nonstop 2 hours, just nonstop riffing through, you know, all of the Slash stuff, lots of Guns N' Roses stuff. Thankfully, only one Velvet Revolver song. That was and even that was too many. Velvet Revolver was not good.
I was not a fan at all.
I didn't like it either. And I mean, they played one Velvet Revolver tune near the end of the set. And that was like the only downer of the night, but fucking A, dude, there was Slash did this one solo and me, John, and Stephanie just stood there. Like, you didn't clap, and really the whole audience, you didn't really clap. You just stood there because you realized how fucking good this guy is. And I've said, you've heard me say it on the show, that Slash is not one of the best guitarists out there. But boy, he went a long way to convince me otherwise with this solo. It was amazingly good.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing was good, dude. I mean, it was no major differences from the last time, you know, other than Todd Dammit sang a Guns song, which was interesting instead of Miles.
Right.
You know, he sang Welcome to the Jungle, you know, which I would have thought Miles would do that, but Todd Dammit jumped up and sang it.
Nice.
And he did a really good job with it. But it was a cool show. It was a good time. You know, Stephanie got pretty hammered.
Oh, is that a fact?
She got pretty hammered. I had a pretty decent buzz going for most of the show.
Sure. At least your foot didn't pop out of place or something, right?
Dude, I was so careful with it.
I bet you were, because last time we were there together, that's when you had your problem again.
Dude, I have to tell you, I am like a 900-year-old man at this point. You should see me going, here at the house. We have the steps to go upstairs to where I'm broadcasting at right now.
Mm-hmm.
I am like an old fucking man going up and down the steps. Take one step with one foot, plant back down with the other.
Sure.
Then another step, then plant down.
Sure.
Because I'm so afraid of popping my foot out again.
Well, who could blame you?
Shit hurt. Shit hurt for months. But no, it was a good show. We had a good time. We went over to the fun part was we went over to there's a little restaurant / bar right down the street called the Wing Warehouse.
Okay, yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, well, we went there and they were having like dollar beers or something, and that's good for me and John.
Sure.
and I was doing the CMS with the fucking waitress. Oh my God.
Okay.
She came over and she was one, and this type. The chick that she comes over and she sees that you're a little bit loud and whatever, and then she wants to come in and be aggressive with you.
Right.
You know that waitress?
Sure.
Well, she tried.
Okay.
And boy, I chased her off in a big time hurry.
I'm sure you did.
Some of the shit I was saying, John was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Well, the whole attitude is, what are you going to do to me?
Yeah, it's like, whatever. I see that wedding ring, so you are of no importance to me.
Of course.
Just smile so that you get your tip.
Sure.
But yeah, good time. I mean, I really don't have a whole lot to say about it. It was a good time. Doesn't sound like it was nearly as impressive as what you saw, but it was a damn good show.
Yeah, well, again, I didn't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. But to see Queensryche, the re-energized Queensryche,
sure,
and then see the show that Scorpions brought, that was just like, man, that was a good bill.
Well, you can't beat that then.
Mm-hmm.